Hello, you guys. I wanted to share what's been going on in my life these last weeks since the last video update. I'm not sure if I shared on any of my videos. A few weeks ago, I went through a situation where my kids and I were in the car. We were going to church, and there was like traffic coming on the freeway, and for whatever reason a car backed into our car, and so I had to pull to the side, and so the person said that he got distracted with coffee, and so his kids were there too. I think I shared about this on my ex account. I feel like I shared this somewhere. But thankfully, we were all okay, and I remember little by little I started to feel some pain on my neck, and then more so on my like middle of my back by my spinal cord. And so after church, we went over to my mom's house, and I told her about it. And before we left, she had offered to give me a back massage, but I was like, no, I'll be fine. And so she insisted that she would pray for me. And she did. And she said as she was praying, she felt like this heat coming from her hand. And yes, like after that, I didn't experience any of that pain that I was having. So I remember that day also telling her, hey, Mom, in my mind, I was like, I don't understand why, if I'm the one that got hurt, why I dreamed. I told her I dreamed that you were very sick. And so I just kind of told her, just, I don't know if it means anything. Me and my mom have always been very people that we believe not every dream is like God telling you something, but definitely God does speak to us in our dreams when He wants to. And so when I told her that, I knew she would receive it as, oh, we need to pray, because look at what's, this thing happening to you. She felt, perhaps it was like a spiritual attack going on with our health. And anyway, I wish I would have prayed more. I think I need to start asking God, what do you want me to do about this dream? Not just like share it, but like continue to pray over that. And it's just kind of hard because sometimes I'm like, oh, maybe it doesn't mean anything. But I had dreamed that she was really, really ill and like in a very weakened state. And then I don't know, it must have been like 2 or 3 weeks ago that I had that dream. And then Saturday, this week, my daughter started to come down with a cold, and then my son and me caught it a little bit, so we got to rest on Saturday, and I was already starting to feel like I'm catching the cold. But I received a phone call or a message actually from my dad to all of us, and told us that my mom was taken by the ambulance to the hospital. And there had been certain situations where my mom had been to the hospital in lately, and so I was wondering if it was nothing too serious, but I decided that I would go and see what's going on, because it concerned me that my dad said that she was having a hard time speaking. He said that her vision, she couldn't see from one side, one eye, and I think So I was concerned that she had a headache, he said too. Well, we were at the emergency room for several hours while they did many of her tests, and the ambulances decided to take her to a hospital that it wasn't her hospital, so they didn't really know like so much information. So they were trying to, just talk to her doctors and see what they wanted to do and all of that. And we were under the impression that it could just be she has an infection, or possibly it could be that she had a stroke and they wanted to, eliminate the more serious possibility. And once we were leaving the hospital, we were led to think that it wasn't a stroke, it was an infection. Well, um, we when we had first arrived there, it was is I didn't know what to expect, and it turns out that it was a very scary, sad situation because you grow up with your mom, and your mom almost most likely is the person that knows you the most in this world, knows so much about you, loves you possibly the most, and and gives you, your name. And for my mom not to be able to call me by my name, not be sure like what's my name, and just kind of look at me confused. There was a lot of confusion. She was having a hard time saying certain words, being able to remember what something is called. It was just a lot was going on, and then so it didn't really make sense if it was just one infection, and why is she dealing with how she told us exactly where the headache was and the vision loss. And so anyway, I ended up driving late at night. Like they finally were able to transfer her to her hospital like 11 or midnight time. And so uh, it wasn't until the next day that turns out that they did more exams in the morning, that they told us, yes, that it is a stroke that she had. So she's in the hospital right now. Unfortunately, thankfully to God, I had a sore throat the night that this happened, and I was able to be there with her, doing my best not to, be contagious. But today, like I had stronger cold symptoms, so I've been away from the hospital. And it's just things like my mom can't. It turns out that now my mom, it seems that she can't read, and she doesn't know how to use her phone. She doesn't remember little things. But thankfully, God kept the damage minimal because her vision is affected, but she's able to walk. She seems like herself. The thing that I was like, oh, okay, at least she remembers the most important thing. She would, as soon as we were there, she's like, we need to pray. The best thing we should do was pray. And she would say these Bible verses, long ones. And I just kind of thought, well, at least she remembers the important things, And at least, she didn't forget about God. I'm laughing about it, but it's so sad and terrible that sometimes like you make a joke because it's so terrible, you know? So I wanted to share that it's amazing that God spared my mom's life, because I personally don't know anyone that has gone through a stroke. I wish I would. Yes, in situations like these, I wish I wasn't. I wish I talked to people more so that I could learn about life things like, like just all the health dangers and things like that, we knew my mom was at risk of getting a stroke, and I guess we weren't informed enough about certain things about that, and still right now I don't really understand like what could go wrong and things like that. So I think just my prayer life is going to have to like improve like big time, because even if I don't know these things, and I will do my best to learn about them and to ask doctors and go to doctor visits and things like that. God knows everything, and if he wants us to pray to him, then that's what I'm going to do. So it just makes me think how much we take for granted the time we have with our loved ones, and how ignorant we are, like how we can get so lost in really not important things. Just teaching me to appreciate the people in our lives more. And so I'm praying that I'll feel better so I can help my mom and go to the hospital. I spend time with her. So I'm gonna go eat a bunch of fruit, drink like one of those extra vitamin drinks, and hopefully prayerfully I'll be visiting my mom tomorrow and not getting her, not being contagious. We'll see. Alrighty, that's what's going on here on this end. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.